My name is Rachel Colyer. I'm the Organizing and Communications Manager at the Media and Democracy. We're based here in DC. Can you all hear me in the back? Yeah, okay, good. We're based here in DC, and we were formed to help connect groups that work at the intersection of media and democracy, and how media impacts our democracy. Our members, there are over 36 of them across the country, and many countless allies like Rethink Press and organizations around the country that fight on media policy and media justice. What that means is that we all want better media that represents our communities and provides diverse, reliable information. Through this shared interest and common understanding, we collectively compose the media reform and media justice movement that fights for communication rights in the public's interest. So what I'm going to do, I think, is talk about the landscape of what is happening in media, telecommunications, and technology policy, both here in the US and internationally. In order to get Al Jazeera English on television, on cable stations, we're going to need to go into local communities in the US in order to make that happen, and talk to people where they're at, and make them understand. So it's important to understand the system that we are operating under. So in the past few years, we've seen increasing consolidation in legacy media. Cable providers are difficult to deal with and act as gatekeepers, providing and pushing content out at us. We have all those channels and there's never anything to watch, right? So in the case of Al Jazeera, we see that they aren't willing to carry it and are, by proxy, keeping you from accessing the news and information you want. Cable is still a dominant form of media for so many people around the country. As Meredith mentioned earlier, cable is how people get their news. There are over 100 million cable customers in the country, compared to 44 million internet users in the country. So if we want to reach them and get this information to them, we have to play in the cable system. Even though we have seen the rise with the internet of cord cutting, where people are ditching their cable service for their internet service, it's still not pervasive enough to replace cable news. This may be a tactic that could be used to your advantage, because the cable companies are fearful that more people are going to go online and get their content, and they're going to start losing customers. So that may be a really good organizing strategy and tactic to pressure cable companies in your communities for them to cut your cord, right? If you don't carry Al Jazeera, I'm not going to watch the news on your station. So keep that in mind. Without bringing Al Jazeera to the country through cable, we're going to be missing an educational opportunity. The American public will be denied access to information. And cable companies are bad actors that block access. We see this on the internet, we see this on cable. During this period of consolidation, we've also seen a dramatic rise in, a dramatic decline in the quality of journalism and a rise of centralization of news. And so we're seeing repeatedly the news stories used over and over again, and there's no real information or no questions being asked. That's why we need Al Jazeera. Yeah, and Al Jazeera has reporters around the globe in news bureaus where the mainstream media here in the United States doesn't cover it. So that's consolidation. Now, some may argue that the rise of the internet and the ability to stream Al Jazeera will remedy this problem. I suspect that as you start talking to people, this is going to be some of the pushback that you hear. We don't need Al Jazeera on cable because we can get it on the internet. I think there are a number of arguments and problems with that statement. So one is the availability, adoption, quality, and affordability of broadband, both in the US and globally. Not everyone is connected. In some countries, we see that cell phone penetration is the primary form of communication. And even here in the US, we have a huge digital divide where people don't have high enough quality internet to stream something like Al Jazeera. We also have weak net neutrality rules to protect the open internet and prevent ISPs from blocking content. We in the United States are not protected, and around the globe we have seen internet service providers shut down, block content, like the Middle East uprisings. China also blocks content. So these struggles happen here in the US and globally, and we need to fight them at home as well as overseas. And the third is consolidation in the wireless market, combined with virtually no protections there, are really fundamental threats to our communication rights here and abroad. So let me unpack some of that wonkiness for you in language that you all will understand. So, I mean, it basically comes down to this, right? Not everyone has access to broadband capacity to live stream, nor do they know how to use it. We have a real technological adoption problem in neighborhoods across the country. So when you are out there talking to people, educating them about Al Jazeera, they're not necessarily going to know how to go online and watch it. So there are many members of our movement and others that are working at the FCC and Congress to get more broadband adoption, but we need a stronger fight and we all need to work together on it. And I also just want to say quickly about the protections of the open internet. We need network neutrality. We do not have open internet protections that are strong enough in the United States to prevent carriers from blocking access. At any point, if an ISP provider wants to block your access to a website or degrade your service, they can. And we've seen in countries around the world that the internet can now be shut down or co-opted. There's some really innovative things in wireless technology. Internet's in a suitcase are being developed thanks to the State Department by some partners that can be used to circumvent traditional communication structures. So there are some really innovative things that are happening, and I encourage you all to stand up for this in order to protect your right to communicate on the internet. And then I also just want to mention wireless mobile devices. In Haiti, as Sebastian here was saying, in Haiti, the cell phone concentration rate is over 55%. And that gives 85% of the households access to cell phone service. And so in times of crisis, it has been the primary source of communication for a lot of people. And so we're going to need to protect that and make sure that it is a way for people to communicate around the globe. So I think that that's important. And then I just want to highlight one fight here in the United States that is happening in the media world. That is along the lines of consolidation. Right now, AT&T is threatening to take over T-Mobile, which will consolidate the wireless market space on your cell phone and on your handheld devices between AT&T and Verizon at 80%. So if you thought Ma Bell was bad with the telephone systems, you're going to see Ma Cell, and they can block content, applications, and websites via your cell phone. So this is a real threat. If we don't have protections on our cell phones, you won't be able to use the applications, websites, or videos that you want. And when it's primarily the means of communication for a lot of the population, we need to be concerned about it. So that's it. I have updated you on all of the wonkiness that's happening in media policy and communication rights here. It does connect abroad, and I hope that you can take that into these communities as you're organizing around this issue and educate them about the state of the system. So to tie this all together, this campaign, this struggle is one of many going on around the country and globally for access to communication rights. Communication is a fundamental human right, and to allow governments or corporations to block our access to information, deny us our ability to make choices for ourselves, or provide us with less excellent journalism is an injustice. The fight to allow more people to choose Al Jazeera English is part of a larger movement, and collectively that movement will support you. So go into your neighborhoods, do organizing work. If you want to be connected to people in your neighborhoods that are doing that work, I'm happy to do it. So that's it.